Hello students, we will discuss perioperative arrhythmia, that is paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. The paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia is characterized by rapid regular rhythm, generally with a narrow QRS complex and lacking of normal SA node P wave. The paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia rhythms are usually abrupt in onset and abrupt in termination. PSVT is easily distinguished from rapid atrial fibrillation, which is having irregular rhythm, and from rapid atrial flutter, which has got flutter waves. Now we will say heart rate. The heart rate will range in the form of, in between 130 to 270 beats per minute. Then rhythm. The rhythm usually regular unless the impulse originates from multiple atrial foci. Then we will see P is to QRS ratio. P is to QRS ratio is 1:1. 1:1 relationship. Although P wave may often be hidden in QRS complex or T waves. Then we will see about the QRS complex. Generally QRS complex is normal, but STT changes indicative of ischemia may be observed. The aberration of ventricular conduction may occur and complicate the differential diagnosis with ventricular tachycardia. SVT may also be confused with sinus tachycardia, atrial flutter and atrial fibrillation. In differentiating these rhythms, carotid sinus massage or adenosine 6 to 12 mg intravenous bolus has been used to slow the rate by transiently enhancing the normal degree of AV block or to terminate the arrhythmia. Esophageal electrocardiographic leads may also be helpful to better define the atrial activity. Then we will see the significance. The significance of PSVT, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, can be seen in 5% of the normal young adults and in patients with WPW syndrome or other pre-excitation syndromes. During anesthesia, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia accounts for 2.5% of all arrhythmias. This arrhythmia has no association with any intrinsic heart disease or systemic illness. When a patient is anesthetized, PSVT can be precipitated by changes in autonomic nervous system tone or by drug effects or intravascular volume shift and can produce severe hemodynamic deterioration. Then sometimes paroxysmal SVT may be associated with AV block because of the fast atrial rate and slow AV conduction. The paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia with 2:1 block represents digitalis intoxication in many patients. This is about significance. Now we will see the treatment. Even though this arrhythmia is not usually associated with hemodynamic deterioration, the following treatment can be given. Number 1, vagal maneuver such as carotid sinus massage. It should be applied only to one side. Then adenosine, which is a drug of choice, is given by 6 mg rapid within 2 seconds intravenous bolus dose, preferably through antecubital or central vein. If no response is elicited, third dose of 12 to 18 mg adenosine may be administered by rapid intravenous bolus. Third, verapamil. Dose of verapamil is 2.5 to 10 mg intravenously. It terminates AV nodal re-entry successfully in about 90% of the cases. Unlike adenosine, verapamil has the advantage of providing long-term relief. Then next, amiodarone, 150 mg infusion over 10 minutes for the loading dose is a recent addition. Then we can use esmolol. The dose of esmolol is 1 mg per kg by bolus and 50 to 200 mg per kg per minute by infusion. This is also effective. Then phenylephrine 100 microgram by intravenous boluses is administered if patient is hypotensive. Then intravenous digitalization, digoxin 0.5 to 1 milligram can be given intravenously. Then rapid overdrive pacing may be done in an effort to capture an ectopic foci. And last, synchronized cardioversion may be performed with incremental doses of energy of 100, 200, 300 and 360 joule, preferably after light sedative pre-medication. The electrode catheter ablation with radiofrequency energy has evolved as a definitive long-term treatment of most of the persistent AV re-entrant or focal atrial supraventricular tachycardias.